Hey class, let's talk about the interpretive paper. The interpretive paper is a paper you are going to write that will be due the last day of class. That will be based on an art show that you go to in person during this semester. Let's take a look at the assignment sheet here. You are going to write a 4-paged, double-spaced at 12-point font paper based on an experience visiting an art museum or gallery in person. Keep in mind, COD will always have an option for this at the Cleve Carney Art Museum, which is in the MAC. Depending on which semester you're taking this course, there will be a link in the interpretive paper folder, which I'll show you in a second, that will give you an option. But there's a bunch of options that you can also do if you are not within the area or you want to try something different. Things you should include in the paper. Where was the show? What did the show look like? What kinds of work did the show include? Did the work have a narrative or some sort of connecting fiber? And what was your experience while viewing the work? And it says, remember, I don't care if you liked the show or hated it, just back up your thoughts with well-thought observations. So I think it's probably easier to write the paper like you really enjoyed the work. But some of my better papers I've had were, somewhat contested. Maybe they liked some of the work, some of the other work they weren't as interested in. But it is what it is. After the introduction of the show as a whole, I want you to focus on 3 specific pieces. You will critically analyze the formal qualities of these 3 pieces fairly extensively, about a page per image. Keep in mind all of the vocabulary that we've talked about and used throughout the class. This should be the core of the paper, is talking about those 3 pieces. Here at the bottom, you must provide proof of attendance with a picture of you at the show or a show card or pay stub. You must include 3 pictures of your 3 chosen pieces at the end of your paper. So the example I am going to show you actually has it within the paper, but the length is still enough, which is okay. And then, the 4-page text requirement should not include images. Other important things to remember, we always italicize titles of art pieces. And as always, put quotations around anything that is quoted from any other source than yourself. That should be throughout the semester, everything that we're doing. There is a grading rubric. Just to touch on that very quickly, things that I'm looking for is the overall style of the piece, of your paper, the discussion of the show, which is the 3 pieces that I'm looking for, and then the demonstrated knowledge and formal qualities within the work. Once again, diving in and really talking about that work extensively. Once again, depending on what semester you're at, there's going to be show options at COD. The one for this summer is going to be starting May 30th, which is a day before this class starts, and will be running through the entire semester. If you're in future semesters, this link will help you find whatever show the Cleve Carney Art Gallery is offering during your semester. They're always going to be an option. The other option is you can go to Chicago Gallery Openings, which is one of the first things here in the interpretive paper. And there should be a bunch of gallery openings. Keep in mind, you don't necessarily have to go on the opening. You'll see that a lot of these openings are on Friday night or a Saturday night, or midday on a Sunday. The openings are more fun. There's usually wine and small snacks, and you can usually talk to the artist if you're interested in that. But remember, the show will usually go through a certain date as well, depending on where you're at. This is the Everson Art Center. There's Elmhurst, Chicago, more Chicago stuff. All throughout the Chicago area, there are choices. Now, if you're not in the Chicago area, you can still go to an art show. There's culture everywhere. If you're in a space that's really, really desolate, I would recommend emailing me as soon as possible. We can try to find something that would work for you. But remember, any visual art show is what we're looking at. You're going to go to that show in person, actually experience some art in the real world, and then you're going to write a paper about it. But when you're there, you have to remember to at least take photos of 3 pieces that you're interested in talking about. Maybe take some notes while you're there, some quick notes, which will be the core of the paper. When I see the interpretive paper example, this is a really good example from a previous semester. Um, Proof right there at the top. We talk about the introduction of the show here, how the student came to know about the show and the area that it was. And then we start moving into our first piece, right? This is the first piece. Remember, you can put the image within the text as long as the text is still 4 pages long. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 or 5, and the text, the images are within the text. You can also just write your 4 and then put all of your images at the back of the paper, which is acceptable as well. But as you go through this, you'll see that we're talking about first piece, the second piece, the third piece. Once again, that is the core of the paper, critiquing 3 pieces of work that you see in that show, and then kind of wrapping it up on both ends, right? Introduction of the show and the space, and then a little bit at the end, kind of what we thought about the entire show. This paper is worth 50 points, and it is due the last day of class. If you have questions, once again, don't hesitate to email me, but this is also something that you should not wait till the last minute, as you do have to do something physical outside of class to actually go to an art show um, and experience some art in the real world. Okay, once again, real show you go to, proof of the show with images of the ticket stub or yourself, and then 3 images that you're going to work from in your paper to give credibility to the text and to give context, right? If you're just talking about a piece of work and I can't see it, it's very difficult for me to agree or disagree with your take on the work. Okay, and then just to remind you, besides the other module work, the curation project and the interpretive paper are the 2 big projects that will be due the final day of class. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to seeing what gallery you go to or museum to fulfill the paper requirements. Thanks, everybody.